I know a guy who posted content every single day for almost a year. I mean, every day. Reels, courses, LinkedIn posts, stories, personal brand content, value posts, the whole thing. And honestly, the content wasn't even that bad. They had really good editing, he was using captions, good advice, looking actually polished as well, sounded smart as well. But the business barely actually moved after 1 year. No predictable inbounds, no stable pipeline, and no real leverage. Just random dopamine spikes every time one post performed better than the actual other. And eventually he got frustrated because he started thinking maybe content just doesn't work. But that's not true either. Content absolutely works. In fact, content is one of the highest leverage assets you can build in long term. But this is the part that nobody wants to hear. The content game is not something you crack in just 30 days. And sometimes not even in year one. And that's where people quit too early because they expect instant inbound, instant authority, instant audience growth, instant trust. Meanwhile, the people actually winning with content understand something completely different. Content is a compound game. The brand compounds, trust compounds, attention compounds, and distribution compounds. And over long periods of time, that becomes insanely valuable. One strong brand can lower CAC, increase close rates, attract inbound, create partnerships, increase trust before sales calls even start. That's real leverage. The problem is most people approach content emotionally instead of actually strategically. They think if I post more, clients will just come. But that's not the truth because content by itself doesn't get you clients. Distribution does, positioning does, trust does, systems do. You can post every single day for a year and stay invisible if nobody relevant sees your actual content. Meanwhile, someone else posts twice a week, distributes properly, has strong positioning, and builds a pipeline consistently. That's why this whole just post consistently and eventually works is an incomplete advice. Consistency matters, but inconsistency or consistency without strategy is just invisible effect. And honestly, I had to learn this really the hard way. There was a period where I thought we just need to post more. So we increased the actual output, more videos, more clips, more effort. And the business barely changed because the issue was never the actual volume itself. The issue was weak distribution, weak positioning, no conversion system, no clear actual audience, no strategy behind the content. We were creating content, but not building attention strategically. That's when I seriously realized something important. The businesses winning with content are not just creating more, they're distributing better, positioning better, and building systems around the actual attention itself. And that's what this video is really gonna be all about. Now, why you should actually listen to me, because maybe you have seen my socials and you go, you know what, but you only have 40 subscribers or 42 subscribers currently on your actual YouTube channel, and maybe you do have 28,000 followers on Instagram and maybe 1,000 on LinkedIn. So why should I listen to you? So I have spent the last year really trying to understand how the content game actually works. So I have also invested over maybe about 10 to 50,000 to speaking to different content creators that have reached 1 million views on their actual content, that are reaching about 1 million in revenue every single month. That's why I didn't want to just hide that and say, you know what, I'm just going to keep that information to myself. I wanted to give you the information so you can utilize the information and really understand how does the content game really works. Because by understanding the content game, you will automatically adjust what you need to adjust in order for you to position yourself for a long-term strategy, but not only long-term strategy, most importantly, position yourself in such a way where you really have cracked the game of content. Because to crack the game of content, you really need to understand the ins and outs of what the content has to actually do for you. Not what type of content you have to create, but what does the content has to do for you and your actual viewers and followers. And so in this video, I want to break down absolutely everything for you so you really understand what you need to currently do in order for you to position yourself for a long-term actual growth. Now, I'm not promising you that you're going to crack the game in 30 days because I haven't still cracked the game, but now seeing what I need to do, I already can see the changes happening. And so because I'm seeing the changes happening, I want exactly to give you the same. Once you implement what we're going to be discussing today, I'm just in a second going to share my screen, you will have no doubt what you need to do. And probably in year 1 or year 2, you will come to close where you don't need to pay for ads so much, where you don't need to look for leads because your content will do all the heavy lifting for you. So let's get into the video. Let me share the screen and I'll show you exactly what this all video is about. So before we get into this actual video, okay, before I share the 6 things that you need to know in order for you to crack the code with actual content and build the brand you want. For the record, I just want to mention this, that I'm not promising you that in the next 30 days, in the next 90 days, or even the year, that you will crack the code with content and suddenly you will be exposed to unlimited leads. You will just have millions in revenue. That's not what I'm actually promising, and this is not the video that I will be focusing on that, okay? What we will be focusing in this video is to actually show you what I have discovered by paying 10 to 50,000 for about 5 content creators that are currently getting about 1 million views on just one video and that are making at least minimum of 1 million a month, okay? I just want to focus here to show you exactly what you need to understand before you start posting content. Because once you understand everything that I will show you in this video, you are more likely to actually crack the code with content and build a brand that you actually want and never ever struggle with money again, once you understand exactly what I'm about to share here, okay? So the entire reason for this video is not to show you the shortest way to riches by showing you like how to post content, and that's not the thing here. The thing is, I want to show you is exactly what you need to do when you're posting content. I'm going to show you the systems. I'm going to show you like how to do it as well. We're going to be focusing on the mistakes, the differences and everything. And by end of this video, you will exactly understand what you need to do in order for you to build a brand by compounding. So this is a long-term strategy that I want to share, okay? Because content is not something that anybody is going to do it quickly. If you look at some of the biggest creators like Alex Hormozi, or you look some of the biggest creators like Layla Hormozi, or you look anybody that's big out in the space, you will see that it took them years to get to the point where they currently are, okay? And so I want to exactly show you how that they did it, because I paid most of the content creators that also have helped them. So with this in understanding, let's just begin, okay? So I'm going to share 6 things with you. Number 1, why most content does not generate clients. Number 2, the difference between content creation and content distribution. Number 3, how operators think about attention strategically. 4, the biggest mistakes killing your inbound pipeline currently. 5, how to create content that actually converts into business. And 6, a smart content system for predictable client actual acquisition. The first thing that I want to actually begin with is the biggest lie in the market. You probably have seen this. Just post consistently. You probably also have heard about this thing. That a lot of content creators out there that have sufficient income, they have sufficient followers, they have sufficient business online are telling you just post consistently and things will work out for you, right? I just want to tell you this, that advice is incomplete. Consistency does matter. I'm not saying that consistency doesn't matter, because it does matter. But consistency without distribution is just an invisible labor. Like the example that I mentioned at the start as well. I spoke with a business owner that was posting at least a minimum of 2 posts, sometimes even 3 posts. And there was also one time he told me like for a month he was going straight posting 5 posts a day, right? And he was doing that for an entire year because somebody just said, hey, if you just consistently keep posting for a year, your business will be in a completely different position than what it is now. So he took that advice and he implemented that advice. So he just consistently kept posting, had courses, stories, everything, right? So yes, his views went up. Yes, his engagement went up as well by posting, just posting itself. Yes, some followers also came. But the business hasn't moved an inch from where he was 1 year before, okay? So most people are producing content that nobody important ever is going to see it. Nobody important meaning the clients that you actually want to be getting inside the business will never actually see them. So I have also seen Facebook pages. I have seen Instagram pages where somebody has over 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 content pieces generated on their actual Instagram page or their Facebook. And you look at their followers and they only have about 1 to 500 followers. They have a couple views, but none of that is generating them actual revenue. I have seen when somebody's actually posted 10,000 posts, and I'm not actually lying to you, I have seen somebody literally posted 10,000 posts because he was consistently going for 2 years as well. Obviously, there were some inconsistencies throughout. That's why I used the example for the guy who was just consistently posting every single day for 1 year. But the guy that posted for 2 years had over 5,000 content pieces generated. And nothing happened, okay? So most people, yes, are producing a lot of content. And that's why they are burning out, because they are producing, but they're not seeing the results, because they confuse activity with actual leverage. Posting itself, yes, it's the actual activity. The leverage is once you understand how to really distribute your content, because the distribution and just posting are completely two different things. Distribution is the actual leverage where you get it to the right people, okay? So why most content fails, okay? Let's break this down honestly. Most content fails because one of these reasons, or even most of these reasons, you're maybe targeting the wrong audience. You maybe have weak positioning, no distribution, which is the main one. I'm just gonna actually highlight this for this one as well. No distribution, because that really matters. No distribution, no retention, no conversion mechanism behind your actual content, and no trust built, and no offer to market actual fit. Not because the algorithm hates them, right? But because they just have content that's consistently are failing. And I'm gonna give you a great example of this. Maybe about 2-3 years ago, I had an Instagram page. Now my Instagram completely looks different because I deleted all my content. I had about 1,470 something posts. Consistently every morning I woke up and I did about 2 reels, 3 reels every single day. Now, some days on the weekends, sometimes I didn't do them, but mostly on Monday to Friday I did it. And my content was so inconsistent to the wrong type of audience. One day I would be doing everything about mindset, then sales, business, then family, then wealth. And it's just like consistently has the wrong type of messaging around. And every single day it will be for a different type of audience, right? And because of that, I deleted my entire content and I started from the ground zero, because I wanted to be focusing on the actual on the right audience, right positioning, right distribution, right retention, and also the right conversion mechanism behind my content, okay? So next one is content is not the actual asset. The attention is the actual asset. Like you can have 100 pieces of content, but if none of those content pieces are generating attention, then you really don't have an asset there, because your asset is not producing anything, okay? So this changes everything. The goal is not to make just content. The goal is to capture and direct actual attention. This is something that most content creators at the start, which I was struggling, I focused mostly on content. I wasn't focusing on capturing and directing actual attention. Attention is the actual traffic that you drive. So it's really important not to only make content, publish content, and get followers, is to actually distribute that attention. It's to actually direct that attention, okay? That's a huge difference there as well. Good operators understand content is just the actual vehicle. Distribution is what creates the actual leverage when you are posting content. To give you a good example, you can have a great video, really strong advice, also good editing, but if nobody clicks, nobody watches, nobody shares, nobody relevant sees it, it has no business value. Meanwhile, someone with average content but a lead distribution, collaborations, strong hooks, smart positioning, clear CTAs, audience alignment wins every single time. So it's not just about having a great video, having a strong advice, having great editing, like being really good on the video, being a really nice person. It's not about that. It's mostly about if you have strong hooks, smart positioning, you have CTAs and audience actual alignment. That's what really matters. So just posting content to post content is not gonna cut it. It's not gonna get you to the point where you actually wanna be, which scales your actual business just purely by content. If you look at Alex Hormozi, his messaging hasn't really changed consistently for about 4 to 5 years. Now, when he started, obviously his YouTube channel or his Instagram or his TikTok, they were not generating that amount of that amount of attention that is currently generating. But as years went by, he consistently adjusted the hooks, positioned himself, CTAs, audience alignment and everything. He just compounded day by day, until he got to the actual point where he actually consistently can bring in leads just from his content alone. And then obviously he added also his books and more stuffs, but the content itself was compounding for very long periods of time. That's why I wanted to just kind of mention that again, that this video is not for short term. This is a long-term strategy. And if you really understand the meaning behind this video that I'm making, that this is about long-term compounding your actual content, winning in the long term, then I promise you that if you just implement this and you keep going for very long periods of time, your brand will eventually explode, okay? The real problem, right, is people create content with no actual strategy behind it. It's just, let's just post content to post content. But like posting content just to post content is not good enough. Most businesses post random things like motivational clips, generic tips, trends, and recycled advice. That's what I used to do. It's like this one, just to give you recycled advice. You probably have heard before, show me your 5 friends and I'll show you who you are. Okay, you probably haven't heard it just once, you have heard it many, many times. And this is what I mean. You're using recycled advice that every other entrepreneur is using. Another one, like you are suddenly following all the trends. So your content is changing. You have generic, then you are going generic tips, right? You like, it's kind of tip for not only your niche, but it's like for everybody else. So it's like very generic, right? Motivational clips. So you mostly like, hey, on motivational and mindset, you maybe watch a little bit of Tony Robbins, or you look, for example, what's that guy? Forgot the book called You Can't Hurt Me. What's his book? I can't actually remember, but it's You Can't Hurt Me. Probably you know what I'm actually speaking about. And yes, so you watch this motivational content and you kind of take their advice and then you kind of distributing through your own channels, right? And so it's really generic. And that's exactly what I did. I was at my actual Instagram before I deleted all my content, and I would just scroll through content, through other big leaders' content. I would see the advice they're giving, and I would just mostly copy it and add just a little bit on my own spin to it. And that was basically recycled advice. I was just recycling other people's content. Then I would read something, I would get on the camera, and I would give advice, right? For generic tips, right? Or motivational. And that's not a strategy, right? It's just randomness. You're just doing things just to post content. There's no strategy. There's no edge behind the content. You're copying everybody. You are maybe recycling content. You're finding things to post, but there's no strategic reason. You're just posting just to post. And that's exactly what I was doing, right? So there's no funnel thinking. There's no buyer psychology inside of the content. There's no business objective. It's just like, we should probably post today. Like, let me post 3 content because somebody told me to consistently post. And that's what I did. Before I paid 10 to 50K to each of the 5 content creators that I actually was speaking to, right? I was doing the same. I was just posting content. I would be just coming up with something just to say something today, so I just can tick off my calendar that I posted my content today. That's all I did, okay? And that's not a strategy. That's like panic posting because you need to be posting. So you're like desperate for leads, so let me just start with actual content and let me post. So smart content operators completely think differently. When I spoke to people that are getting million views on their actual one piece of video, or they're generating 1 million in actual revenue, before creating content, they ask themselves these 5 questions. Who exactly is this for? What problem does this really solve? Because if you look at each business, they have a funnel. Every business has a funnel, even if you don't know it. You have clients that are ready to buy, clients that are following you and getting more educated. You have also clients that don't know you, okay? So they are cold. So it's like cold, warm, hot audience temperature, okay? So who is this exactly for? At what level, at what funnel, at what temperature are we kind of creating this content for? What problem does this content really solve? Why would someone stop scrolling for this? Where is the biggest distribution channel for me currently to distribute? And where is this being distributed? Okay, where I will actually distribute this? And what action should happen after consuming this video? Okay, so like you are strategically changing of how you look at actual content. One is like we post content, we look at it as just, hey, let me just take this off my calendar so I have posted today, so that's out of the way, so I can go to the next thing. Or we look at it this more as an actual strategy. Who is this exactly for? What problem will this solve? Why would somebody actually care? Where is this going to be distributed? What action should happen after consuming it? That changes the quality of everything, because now you are tailoring the content for your specific actual audience than just posting. Most content doesn't create buyer intent as well. This is another huge mistake. People create educational content without creating actual desire. You can teach all day and still not convert. I have seen really educated, smart, intelligent actual people jumping on and giving their absolute best content ever, like the best value. They're giving everything just to get people. They think that, hey, if I post my best content, I educate them, I show them, people will love me, right? People create educational content that is not creating actual desire. You can teach all day and you will still not convert, because information alone is not what drives actual action. People buy when they feel understood. They trust your thinking. They believe you understand their problems deeply. They see a path actual forward. That's when people step into actual buying. If they don't understand you, if you don't understand them, if they don't trust your way of actually explaining things, the way you think, the way you operate, right? And then nothing will really happen with your content, right? If they don't believe that you are the guy or the girl that they need in their life in order for them to get to where they won't move actual an inch, right? They need to see the path forward. They need to know that you understand them. They understand the way of your thinking. They look at your way of thinking as an actual their solution, right? And they believe you understand their problem, and they can see the path forward if they actually engage with you, right? So what is required at that stage is required positioning, authority, emotional relevance, and clarity. Not just broad tips, not just endless education and endless content. You really need to start diving deeper inside of your content and look at it like, who is this for? How this content piece is gonna serve somebody? Why would somebody stop and actually care about my content, right? This all really matters, okay? Not just jump on and give somebody tips. So content that gets clients usually does three things, okay? So these are the three things that I probably paid the biggest money for. So now here we go. I'm gonna share this with you. Number one, interrupts an actual belief, okay? Simple, interrupts a belief. Example, content doesn't get you clients, distribution does. That creates tension immediately, okay? Number two, diagnoses an actual problem. People pay attention when they actually feel this person understands exactly what is happening. That's why pain is amplification. It could be bottlenecks, it could be mistakes, it could be hidden problems. This is what exactly performs well. Number three, provides clear path forward. Not kind of motivational bullshit, clarity, but what actually people want. They want to fix what matters and they cannot actually ignore, okay? People want like what to fix, what matters, and what to ignore. That's why strategic content outperforms generic educational content, right? What to fix exactly is gonna help them to understand what to focus right now inside of their life of what they're trying to fix. What matters is like you showing them, hey, this doesn't really matter. This is currently what matters, because if you focus just on this, you will get the X result. And what to ignore, because there's a lot of noise in their life also happening. So you're just showing them what to also ignore. And these three key pieces are what really makes your content really desirable, because you show them what to fix, what to focus on, which matters, and what to actually ignore, okay? That's why strategic content always outperforms generic educational content. The smarter content strategy in 2026. This is what actually works now. Instead of trying to become a full-time content machine, become a strategic distributor of high leverage ideas. And so this is the actual framework. So step one, create fewer, better core pieces. One strong long form video can become shorts, reels, clips, courses, emails, tweets, LinkedIn posts, okay? So instead of you focusing on posting 20 different separate pieces of short-term content, you can just focus on one long-form content, like really long-form content, and then just actually distribute those that big long-form content into small short-form content. So you can cut those pieces up, okay? So most people create from scratch every single day. That's a huge mistake, and operators actually extract content. They don't create from scratch, they extract. So if you look, for example, I'm gonna give you a great example here. If you look at Alex Ramosi, he would have one long-form content that's about an hour long, sometimes even 30, 40 minutes long. And then on his short-form content platforms like Instagram, TikTok, he would distribute the long-form content into short-form content. So that means he would have an editor that would take the long-form content and cut into, let's say, 10 pieces of short-form content, and then he would post that on his actual page, okay? And that's what really gives you the leverage, because now there's a big intent, there's big meaning behind that actual content because it's really, really big. And if they really are interested, then sometimes he would refer them to the full 45-minute video, okay? So most people create content from scratch every day, and that's the mistake. So step 2, focus on distribution harder than actual creation. Most people spend 90% creating, 10% distributing. It should often be reversed, 90% distributing, 10% creating, okay? Push content through collaborations, reposts, clips, communities, DMs, emails, strategic partnerships, and cross-platform distribution. Attention compounds through actual repetition, okay? It's more important to, and this is the big key that I understand by paying these content creators. It's more important distribute your content than just create your content. And I couldn't first understand, what does that really look like? Distribute your content, not create your content, because I have to create content. They were like, no, what really matters is if you distribute it, because a distribution means you get more attention. And if you get more of the right attention, then you will also get more of the right audience inside of your actual funnel, inside of your business. And that's what matters. You can post one content on one platform that has no distribution, has no reposts, has no likes, has no comments on it, and it doesn't matter. But once you distribute it through different platforms, different channels, it really becomes relevant. Why? Because now you have more people actually seeing it. So step 3, build content around problems, not actual topics itself. To give you a good example, instead of saying 3 marketing tips, right, which you could say like, hey, 3 marketing tips that are just tips, you could say why your pipeline keeps collapsing every 60 days. This is a problem, and a problem is something that people want to solve. They can't solve marketing tips. They can't use your 3 marketing tips. It's like, hey, here are 3 marketing tips. Right, fine, where can I use it? But if somebody has a problem with their pipeline right now and it keeps collapsing all the time, well then, by saying why your pipeline keeps collapsing every 90 days, somebody can fit that situation in their actual life, okay? So if my business is broken every 30 days and somebody says, well, why your business keeps breaking every 30 days? And I watch that video and now I really understand things, because you need to focus on the actual situation, not the actual headline. Because sometimes 3 marketing tips could be a good headline, but you need to focus on the actual situation, right? Situation is more valuable to somebody than just the actual headline. One creates curiosity, one sounds generic, okay? 3 marketing tips could be very generic, but the other one is you are driving the curiosity. Because if something like this is happening in somebody's actual business, they're more likely to click on it than just 3 marketing tips, right? So step 4, build a conversion path. This is where most people fail completely. Content without conversion infrastructure is just entertainment. You need a CTA, lead capture, DM funnel, offer alignment, and trust sequence. Attention must go somewhere. You need to direct it somewhere. You need to have a flow where you take that all attention and you send it somewhere. You need to direct it, you need to guide it. If you don't do it, then you just basically have become a Netflix, right? And yes, Netflix has subscription, they pay a subscription, but then you just literally imagine Netflix without subscription. That's what you have become. You have become just an entertainment. So simple business maths. Let's say 50,000 people see your content. 1% DM you. That's 500 conversations. If 20% are qualified, 10% book calls, and 20% close. Now content become predictable acquisition actual system. okay? So you have to have a CTA there. Now, another thing that I want to mention here is you maybe are asking yourself a question, but hold on, I don't have 50,000 people seeing my content. And that's what I told you. It's not going to be a short-term game. You really need to leverage your content. You really need to build up some type of following. And if you have 0 followers, then obviously posting content, adding value, partnerships, jumping on actual podcasts, trying to get the right things is going to help you to build that following. And that's what's going to be your biggest leverage. I completely understand that maybe most of you don't even have 50,000 views on your content. And that's fine. But what I'm trying to tell you is here that this is a long-term game, right? You're going to compound that. And maybe by distributing your content, you will gain suddenly 50,000 views. And because some of the content creators that I speak, they have 100, 200,000 followers, but they sometimes get 1 million views on one of their actual content piece. That one content piece has generated them about 200 to 300K in actual monthly revenue, okay? So you can distribute really good content that gets shared and possibly even get millions of views or even hundreds of thousands of views, okay? Or even thousands of views. But from that content piece alone, you maybe have, let's say 50,000 people see your content, 1% will DM you. You have 500 conversations, 20% are qualified, let's say you book 10 calls and 20% close. Now content has become a predictable acquisition system. But how you get to that point, right? That's the big question. And that's what I told you one more time. Watch this video again if you need, because you go into the framework. Here's this framework. Step 1, create fewer better core pieces. Focus on distributing harder than actual creation. Build content around problems, not actual topics. We also went into content that gets clients usually are doing these 3 things: interrupt the belief, diagnose the problem, and provide a clear path forward. Okay, so these are the things that I'm currently mentioning, how you can get to those actual numbers. Okay, so let's keep going then. So simple business maths already explained. Now content becomes your predictable acquisition when you have numbers supporting your actual content. Most people never think this way. They think like creators, not actual operators. Most people just feel like they have to post content and that's it. So common content mistakes: posting too broad, talking to everyone, no strong opinion, no positioning, no CTA, prioritizing aesthetics over clarity, creating content nobody actually searches for, and teaching without actually diagnosing. You need to diagnose problems before you can get to teaching. So think about this. Let me give you a strategy. Your short form content, let's say your Instagram, your TikTok, or even your Twitter, they are your diagnosis. So that's where you could be diagnosing problems. And then let's say your YouTube could be where you really are solving those problems for them. Or even like YouTube could be where you also diagnose and you are going like sharing content between different channels, where you have channels that diagnose them and open a broad funnel for you, where you send those people that are being diagnosed to an actual broader channel, which is your YouTube. And that's where you could be solving their problems, and that's where you can get them engaged, and that's where you can have calls to action and drive traffic. But one thing that you need to understand: never ever post broad, talk to everyone, don't have your own opinion about things, not have good positioning, and definitely the big one is like just post content without no CTAs, okay? What to focus on first, okay? If I was building from scratch right now content, currently on my Instagram, let me check, on my Instagram, just to give you, it's 2026 by the way, I have about 409 pieces of content published, okay? Most of my content is currently getting about 200 average views. Before that, I was getting about 150, 100 something, because it's not really relevant. So Instagram now is favoring if more people like it or they share it, you get more views as well. So first thing what I would do, I would make sure I have strong positioning. Currently in my brand, I have really strong positioning. Second, problem-driven content. So solving actual problems. Third, distribution systems. Have the right distribution systems. You can distribute Instagram to Facebook, to Facebook and to actual YouTube and TikTok. Fourth, conversion infrastructure. Not daily posting obsession, but actually conversion infrastructure. So instead of you leaving it to actual luck, you actually are converting them and sending that and directing that traffic somewhere. So implementation framework. Here's the practical execution model. So one long form video weekly, high depth, strong hooks, real problems. Number 2, extract 10 to 20 clips, different angles, different hooks. Number 3, push distribution aggressively. Real shorts, like you can go on X, which was Twitter, LinkedIn, stories, and DMs. Okay? So, and that's what's gonna start getting you the actual attention. And drive all attention into one CTA. Like, for example, DM me on Instagram a roadmap. Okay? And then build conversation systems. Content should create actual conversations, not just leave people walking and they're like, oh, good content, and they just scroll past you. It should create some type of actual conversation. Conversations is what actually creates clients. So the business winning right now are not necessarily creating the most content. They are creating the clearest positioning, the strongest ideas, the best distribution, the highest trust, the best systems behind attention. And that's the real game right now. Not posting endlessly hoping the algorithms will save you, but actually diving in to the real depth of understanding how content actually works. So right now, guys, you really understand by watching this entire video how content works. I have given you absolutely everything to really master the content creation, master the distribution, and how to actually build a brand that matters. If you want the full breakdown of how to build a predictable client acquisition system without relying on random content or content performance, then go to my Instagram. It's below in the description. You'll find a link. Simply go to my Instagram and DM me the word roadmap. I will send you the scaling roadmap and show you exactly how to build a real client acquisition system around your actual business. Instead of just posting every day, I will show you what type of system you need to build. The roadmap also will show you if you're anywhere between stages of 10 all the way to 100K a month. It will show you exactly what's currently broken inside of your business and how to actually fix and how to get to the next level. All you need to do to get it is just go to my Instagram. I will send it to you for free when you actually DM me the word roadmap. If you really enjoyed this content, comment down below maybe a couple things that you don't understand around your content, and I will try to do my best to actually help you in a comment section. If you enjoy this video, please like and subscribe, and that way I can actually help more people to grow their businesses.